All right, so this is the Lenovo Legion 5i Pro, the I signifying Intel, but more specifically, this is the i7-12700H designed with their new 12th gen Core H series processors paired with the RTX 3060. Now, Intel was kind enough to sponsor this video, and I'll talk about their 12th gen H series processor, and I've got to say that Intel's bringing the performance and heat this year. Now, this CPU rips through benchmarks and that translates really well into gaming, which I'll touch on later in the video, but these benchmark numbers from a laptop processor are, dare I say, ridiculous. Now, you have to keep in mind that there is sort of a shift going on in the industry and we have different cores within this processor. So Intel approached this generation with a hybrid architecture. We have performance cores and efficient cores. You can think of performance cores used for intensive tasks or applications that do well with single-threaded performance. And moving on to efficient cores, you guessed it, are for less demanding tasks. But don't think that these efficient cores aren't powerful. If you compare them to Skylake, these efficient cores provide similar performance as Skylake while using almost half the power, hence the name efficient cores. Now, main applications that require a lot of CPU like Chrome, just kidding. Most games, video editing software, streaming, these are what your performance cores are going to love. Now, moving over to your efficient cores, which are designed for lighter tasks like Microsoft Teams, just kidding. Apps like Discord, Spotify, a web page of social media, or even if you're crunching numbers through Google Sheets, things of that nature. Now, the main reason for splitting these cores into two categories is so your performance on your main application won't be impacted by the smaller apps you have open in the background. Now, I'm giving some examples that might not seem demanding for the efficient cores, but you have to keep in mind, these do provide performance to some degree. So if I were to play games or edit videos, the efficient cores still offer their performance if given the opportunity. So you can expect to see this architecture for the future chips in the industry. Now let's talk about gaming performance for a second, since this is a gaming focused laptop. I do think the resolution is a bit high for the GPU, especially if you're trying to max out the settings and get the highest possible frames. I'd say the sweet spot is to drop it down to 1080 to maximize the FPS, which I would say offers a better experience than, the grass on the ground being slightly sharper. On a screen this size at 1080 in a game with medium to high settings, you're going to have a great experience. Most AAA games and free-to-play games were of course fun to play but enjoyable because the overall game performance was pretty consistent in the frames. I'll show on the screen some performance scores, but keep in mind when it comes to Civilization 6, their benchmark is more focused on the CPU because there's a lot of calculation that goes on into the AI per turn, especially the DLC Gathering Storm. Intel did extremely well here, and I'm going to thank those performance cores that we have now. All right, as I was saying, the Intel Thread Director. Now, remember when I said if efficient cores can offer performance given the opportunity? Well, there's more to that, and here are a few examples. If you ever played an instrument in a band or an orchestra, imagine the director being the conductor. Or if you played any sports, the director is the coach in a sense. Now, not all performance and efficient cores are created equal, just like you have different chairs in an orchestra or your starter players and bench players. Starter players being your performance cores, bench players being your efficient cores. Me being the bench player. Now, depending on the situation and patterns the Intel Thread Director discovers, it knows which cores to push the workload to in order to maximize performance and efficiency. Now, if you're going to present to high-profile individuals, you might want to have your first chair perform the solo. Going up against a national team, it's better to put your starter players right out the gate first. If you're going to load up Elden Ring after dying 50 times to a boss, you might want the best performance cores possible so you die faster. Now, I did an unboxing of this laptop a couple weeks ago, which gives you more detail about the laptop overall, but to give you a quick rundown, this is a 2560 by 1600 display, and it's a gorgeous display that is nearly bezel-less. It goes up to 165 Hz and gets reasonably bright. Now, my configuration comes with 16 gigabytes of RAM, which is upgradable. We have a Wi-Fi 6E card, which is upgradable. We have 2 terabytes of NVMe storage, which is upgradable. And finally, the powerhouse is in the room, the Intel 12700H and the RTX 3060. Now, I do like how most of the components are upgradable, but the port selection on this laptop is unique since this is the first laptop that I've come across where most of the ports are on the back. Now, we have Thunderbolt 4 on the side and a physical camera switch to disable it. Now, I like the ports on the back because it kind of gets things out the way when you're trying to game with a physical mouse or a controller, like me. The keyboard itself is one of the better keyboards that have come across this channel, but keep in mind, it does take some time getting used to with the numpad cramming the keys over on the side. But all in all, this is a well-packaged gaming laptop that kind of blew me away. I always thought Lenovo laptops like the ThinkPads were boring, school laptops are really for corporate, but clearly the Legion lineup with this new 12th Gen H series processor proves that Lenovo is not messing around for this target audience. I'd hate to be a competitor in this space because this is genuinely a really nice gaming laptop that once again blew my expectations away from my unboxing experience all the way up until now. Now, there are different modes for this laptop. We have a quiet mode, which is quiet for the most part, but don't expect it to be quiet when you're playing games. We have an auto mode, which is pretty much adaptive to what you do. And then finally, the mode you should be gaming in, and that's the gaming/performance mode. With great power comes great responsibility, and by responsibility, I mean the responsibility to properly cool the 12th gen chip, which I would say Lenovo does a pretty good job here. I'm pretty sure there's more configurations coming out and potentially future sales, so keep your eye out for that if you plan on picking up this laptop. All in all, like I said before, this is one of the better gaming laptops that I've come across, and the question you need to ask yourself is, what box doesn't this laptop check? That's what I thought, and when I came to think of it, pretty much checks all the boxes. This is now the gaming laptop that I go to now, and I've been trying to get back into gaming, and I would say this is a pretty solid choice that I can confidently recommend. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. I appreciate every single sub, like, and comment. Great laptop, Lenovo. I'd say it blew my socks off, but I'm not wearing socks. Anyway, appreciate the insight, Intel. Thanks for the sponsor, and as always, guys, much love. This is seriously one of the best gaming laptops I've ever used.